Alright, another eco-friendly innovation. The back of the phone is made with biopolymer, which is made with recycled paper and plastic and fallen leaves. So it avoids from emitting a huge amount of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, therefore having a huge benefit for the environment. But what I really think is, this kind of eco-friendly marketing hoax is really getting all over the place about this claim. First of all, there's no way that I'm sitting in the studio and prove that this is actually going to help the environment, including all the other YouTubers, no matter how big they are. And second of all, if you really care about the environment, make a phone that's easily repairable and upgradable, therefore long-lasting, instead of forcing us to buy a new phone every other year. So in this review, I'm not gonna put this eco-friendly statement into any account for justifying the higher price, but instead, I'm going to evaluate it for what it can truly offer and is it worth buying this phone for this price. So let's get into it. The paper bag is actually tougher than it seems. I thought there would be less protection against water and dust, but through a few testing, it's pretty obvious that it can be as protective and practical as plastic or metal. And the texture, it just felt like a paper when it was fresh out of the box, but after a few days of usage, now it feels more like a leathery matte texture. And that's not bad at all. It feels very premium and unique. Also, very resistant to fingerprint and scratches. The side is silver matte metal finish and a subtle texture on the power button. The bottom looks a bit crowded, but it helped the other parts to be cleaner and simpler. The camera module is a matte glass finish. The color matches perfectly, but the texture brings a huge contrast with the back. And I think that's pretty beautiful. About this signature, it surely looks cool, but I think it's a personal preference kind of thing about the signature being here. To me personally, I would rather have my own name on this place instead of someone else. So let me know what you think about this in the comments. Other than that, the build and design is definitely high-end and surely brings a flagship feeling. This screen is a pretty big 6.7 inches 2K AMOLED display with the second generation LTPO technology. This LTPO technology is mainly about adjusting the screen refresh rate to improve the battery efficiency. And about that, we will talk about this in the battery life test. The screen is flat with the hold point selfie lens at the upper left corner, and that's a 32 megapixel camera, supports up to 1080p 30 frame per second video recording, and the shot quality is okay. The fingerprint location is on a fairly nice spot too. The highest brightness can go up to 1400 nits. So yeah, this is a great screen that checks all the boxes. Also, it has that Gorilla Glass protection. So yeah, it does check all the boxes. Now let's take a look at what is inside the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 chipset. At this point, I only care about one thing about this chip, the heat. This phone comes with this crazy diamond iScore cooling system, so is it gonna save the chip? Well, this one finally reached 1 million Antutu benchmark in a normal room temperature. And it's mainly because the temperature was relatively not that high during the test, so the performance is kept very consistent. And in the gaming test, with the highest performance, half an hour of Genshin Impact achieved the average frame per second of 57. And the highest temperature of the phone was only 46.9 degrees Celsius. Well, considering this performance and comparing it with other phones, this is definitely a very cold temperature, isn't it? So the performance-wise, this is definitely one of the best performing Android phones out there without burning your hands up. You can control the temperature even further by letting it not operate it with the highest performance, but if you're gonna buy this phone, gaming is definitely going to be one of the things that you care about the most, so this comment is kind of extra, I guess. It comes with a 5000 mAh battery life. Putting such a huge battery in such a light and thin phone is very impressive. But I think at this point, this number doesn't really give any useful information. You gotta consider the hardware efficiency, good software optimization to get a long battery life. So the test result is 3 hours of heavy gaming with games like Genshin Impact and PUBG, etc. With the phone's highest performance, the phone is left with 44% of battery. It means that even for extremely heavy gaming, the battery life is enough for one whole day without charging. The 65 watts of fast charging can charge it up fully with only 32 minutes, and these are definitely way above average speaking of battery performance. But it doesn't come with wireless charging, but surely with this phone you're not gonna have any battery anxiety. The main camera has a color style that is more pleasing to the eyes and not that highly saturated. But highlight and the white color is sometimes not very well controlled. Also, the trace of sharpening is kind of pretty obvious. The color tone is more on the neutral side, while Xiaomi 12 is on the cooler side. The lacking of good control over the highlight area is especially obvious at night mode. The detail is pretty nice, but the trace of sharpening is still kind of obvious. But I think these problems can be fixed easily after a few more software updates, if it is intended to be fixed. This camera set doesn't have telephoto, so 2x shots are just crop images of the main camera. Therefore, the image looks exactly the same from the main camera. The color changed a little bit with the ultrawide, but the overall image quality is not dropped to a perceivable extent. As for the overall experience, the camera is good, but the most of the fun from this set is mainly from those camera gimmicks. The 150 degrees ultra wide and the microscope. Okay, these are not going to be taking any quality good images, and they're not gonna do a big favor in your camera career. But it surely can bring a lot of fun and a good icebreaker with your good buds or on your social media, isn't it? For gaming and long battery life and also for a great look, this phone is highly recommended, but you also need to consider the price as well because it's not cheap. But to me, I think it's okay. A well-tamed Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 and a pretty unique design and a huge battery life that is way above average. Also these fun camera gimmicks that other phones usually don't have. It can be still very interesting carrying this around, whether for gaming or playing with these interesting camera gimmicks. So this is it for today. OnePlus 10 Pro reviews on this way, and make sure to subscribe to our channel, and I'll see you in that video.